Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course brought to you by New Earth One Network. This is all about harmony, balance, and inner wisdom. And today we're talking about how you can reprogram your cells with higher consciousness. It's called Dermal Expression Cellular Upgrade, or DQ. And I'm here with Jules Arnes and Erika Barth, two beautiful people who are going to show us exactly how this works. Welcome, Jules and Erika. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Lauren. We're happy to be here.
Blessings, everybody.
Let's talk first about harmony, balance, and inner wisdom and the importance of this work on that path.
That's so beautiful. As you say, harmony, balance, and inner wisdom. The immediately I get the reflection of how we walk through life, because it's this place of becoming the observer, then becoming the active observer, then becoming the seer. And what level are we in, and where can we find the balance within ourselves? Because really our inner reality is our outer reality. And then when we can really connect to that place of inner wisdom, and let's just take that even deeper, that deep place of trust and love, and we can build our whole entire lives upon that foundation, how much we can really change. But then I think the part that so many of us are ready to step into is not only that trust and that wisdom, but being able to stand in that place no matter what is going on. Because as we continue to ascend, we have to be strong in that place, because people are going to hit the frequency or that power and wisdom of what we're holding, because we're going to be holding a higher frequency than a lot of people, let's say, that are out in the world. But it's to stay strong in that moment, because we need them to crumble in order to move to what is next. And I think that that's what a lot of us light workers and way showers are hitting, is how uncomfortable that can be, because we've been taught that spirituality is this really soft, beautiful, airy fairy place to be, when now more than ever it's time for us to stand into that really deep power of being fully balanced in where we are, so no matter what hits us, we are not shaken.
Yes. And in a lot of ways, when we go inward, we're using our own self reflection. So it's important to have our foundation and our core very solidly built, because what are we when there's something reflecting us that doesn't fit, that doesn't resonate, that doesn't serve? We are being asked to step into our ascension process and to accept our next level, because the density that's passing through others is very uncomfortable, and we're holding our space and holding our frequency to pave the way for those to tap into, because in a lot of ways it takes one losing everything in order for them to realize that it didn't serve them in the first place. And so when they actually have to go inward to reflect what it is that they want, what they're accountable for, what they need to create, it gives them that wisdom that we so long to seek, right? Like when we have that divine inner trust, we create that bond, that relationship that more often than not was taught to us to seek outside of ourselves. And we're entering that time where all of that wisdom and knowledge and that remembering is coming from within. And we chose to be here right now during that time so that we could remember from within.
Absolutely. And the part that I feel like so many of us are being called to do is to move into the space of, there's something wrong with me, I need to go and get fixed in order to move into that really strong foundation of the wisdom and the balance within. When that's no longer true. That's the old paradigm, and that paradigm doesn't even exist anymore. But if we're stuck in the program that it does, then we don't step into, well, what is next? Well, the next is that you are the healer. You are the way. You are the creator of your reality. And so many times that's a scary place to be, because if I'm the creator of my reality, then I'm completely responsible for what it is that I'm creating. But it's also very empowering, because we get to continue to create choice on what it is we are creating. And that's really the shift that we're in right now, is so many people are moving into, I don't need to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with me. I just need to see what is there for me to see, choose if that's my truth, and then even moving beyond that truth, because there's always going to be a higher frequency truth. And so it's not about looking at the past anymore. It's not about looking at all the things that are wrong. It's just seeing what's in front of me, deciding if that's my truth, what do I want to be my truth, and then moving past that truth, because we don't ever want to get stuck in one truth. And that really is the ascension of mankind, is when we stay and we muddle in density for too long, we're just creating another reality around that density. Well, we have the opportunity to move past density altogether. And that's, what this next DQ class is going to be, is about bringing those higher frequency realities, or the higher levels of consciousness that we can go to on our, you could say, in our consciousness, but then bringing that right into cellular form, because that is the next step of human evolution, is to ascend the physical body.
And what's so awesome is that our cells and our consciousness is ready to be told where to go next. A lot of times people have been so disconnected from self because they were looking outside of themselves. And this gives you the power to seek inside and to actually tell your cells where you want it to go, tell your cells how to respond, and increase your levels of consciousness through this work. And that's what's so exciting, is because in a lot of ways, it's a new process, though it's not that new. And like we think about it, when you think about it, it's hard to comprehend. But our heart, our intuition, our bodies know what to do. They want to be told what to do. And because we were programmed to not listen to that, it feels foreign. It feels uncomfortable. And that's what we talk about when you're saying you're stepping into the unknown, you're stepping into the uncomfortable. It's because your mind is trying to tell you no, when in reality, your body is saying, yes, please let me step into that next level. Let me ascend. Let me transform into my light body. Let me move up to that next level of consciousness, because it's time. And this is what's happening in the world, is that so many people are trying to resist it. And when you resist it, you feel that density, you feel lower. And when you just give into flow, and you know that there's flow and abundance and love and joy, you're opening and connecting from a space that at one point has been shut down. And we're actually asking you to reopen it and connect to it and rise with it, because it really holds the knowledge and the wisdom that we have, that we've been given for right now to lead the way during this time.
Beautiful. I just want to read this thing that came in to me this morning, and I put it in the email that went out today, but it's the density we experience as our bodies was created in a third dimensional state of consciousness. The fact that we can move into multi dimensions through our consciousness shows us a level of reality that is beyond this density. It's now time to bring multidimensional consciousness into cellular form, the ascension of mankind. And the reason that I want to go back to this again is that realizing that when we are experiencing ourselves or at density in any form, that is just a reflection of a level of consciousness, and that we were programmed to exist in. But there are other realities of consciousness happening at the exact same time. And I think that we all have that experience through meditation, or just moving into a higher frequency. We see different perspectives, all of that thing. So let's bring all of that into the cells, because the cells right now are programmed to exist in density, because we have never reprogrammed them to be in any other way. But we are the master of our reality. If we are the master of our reality, then yes, we are the master of our body. And if our body is programmed or was created in third dimensional duality or density, then we have the ability to reprogram it into oneness, because right now we think of our body as being separate than our minds. But let's bring them together. Let's bring where our consciousness can actually reach and beyond, and bring that right into the cells. And that's what this class is about, is teaching us how to do that, but then also teaching us how to use that in our daily life, because it's one thing to say, yes, I want to send the physical body, but why? Why is that a desire of yours? Like when we're trying to ascend the body because we want to leave behind something that doesn't resonate with us or that we're in resistance to, well, we have to actually transcend that as well, because we don't leave things behind because we have resistance. We transcend them with us. So if we have resistance within our own body, well, it's there for us to see and transcend.
That's what's so great about DQ. Let's talk a little bit about that, because we are using our body as biofeedback. We use our body, we use our face, and it gives us messages. It's telling us how to talk to our consciousness in the skin and our cells. And so I love how you can bring that in to create the power and that balance and that inner wisdom just by your body giving you signals, giving you messages to seek deeper within. And then knowing that you have the power to clear it, you have the power to move it, and you have the power to bring in a new identity for it to step into. And I think that's very important, because it does take your healing back into your own hands. It does let you reverse signs of aging. It does let you create your own mastership, your own body that serves you best as we elevate.
This thing came to me just as you were saying. I'm just getting this download, and it's been kind of coming in, but as you were talking, it just like hit me. So I have to share it. So, we talk about spiritual DNA, that there's the 2 strands and then there's 12. And now they're finding that it's not actually junk DNA and that it all has a purpose. That's still third dimensional DNA. So as you were talking, I've been really playing in, well, what are we as the new human? And when I step into that space, there's actually 36. And this isn't new. I've known this for about 5 years. But as you were speaking, I actually realized that the 36 is a message in itself. And it's the 9. And for those that have kind of like follow my teachings, the 9 is the frequency of creation, or being the creator. So it only makes sense that our DNA is already ready for us to fully step in and awaken to being at the level of consciousness of the creator. It's already there. It's all we have to do is say yes and move into that. But then and when going back to this foundational piece of, why do we want to do that? And I really want to rest in that place, because I think there's a lot of people that are, I want to get there, because they don't want to experience the reality in which they're existing in at the moment. And that's why we're bringing in the foundational piece. Is it's not about running away from something that's uncomfortable. It's about fully seeing it, stepping into it, and shifting the frequency of that experience altogether, because we're not leaving anything behind. We are shifting the reality of that experience altogether. And that's what the foundational piece of this course that we're giving everybody before they actually move into the live course is, so that by the time they do that, they have the tools of how to actually shift the realities in the moment, not trying to shift it because they don't want to experience it altogether.
I just love that. You gave me chills when you were saying all that with that download, because it's so real. It's very true, because a lot of times if you have a physical response, your mind, your ego mind, your reptilian mind is going to go into the filing cabinet and give it an identity, give it a label, which creates maybe necessarily a fear response or an adrenal response. When in reality, that may not be the case. It could be a transcendence into the next level of consciousness. It could be a changing and reprogramming of your cells. It just depends on how you want to resonate with it. It depends on how you want to look at it. And that's when we talk about the uncomfortable. What's happening right now is that we don't get to know where we're going. That's why people are in this fear response, is because they don't get to know and see where they're ending up. But we do get to look back and see how far we've come. And so I think when you take it in the moment and in that power of now, and you become your seer, your observer of your current reality, and then you actually just observe it and not have an emotional response to it, not have a physical response to it, but more or less just take it as information, it makes it a lot easier actually, and more smooth for you to process. Then you understand the wisdom from within. You actually get to awaken that intuition, and you find that inner balance, and you actually get to create that divine higher self relationship, because you're not judging it. There's no emotion attached to it. There's no criticism. It's just information. And I think a lot of times people want to have an identity to that information. They want to give a story to that information. So what the DQ process does is eliminates the story and by taking out the story altogether, it gives you that clean slate to create what you want to step into. It gives you that blank slate for you to actually create your new reality. And that's what's so beautiful about the process.
I love that. As you were saying that, this question came up in a past workshop, and the lady asked, "Well, don't we have to get rid of our genetic heritage or our past life programming?" Or I can't remember what else she said, but it was, and there's a lot of healers out there where that is a very strong reality of, yes, I need to fix, quote unquote, what's wrong with me before I can move into my ascension process. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are different realities where that is going to be true. That's going to be true for somebody in the frequency or level of consciousness that they're in. And but we all will reach a place where we're going to ascend past that, and that's what really the difference between where that is and then what we're moving into next. And that's what I'm super passionate about, are the people that are ready to move into that next of, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm actually the creator. And there's a, and that's, it doesn't mean that one is true or not true. They're both true, and they're both true at the exact same time. It's just, which level of frequency am I experiencing this from, and is it still true for me? And and when I'm saying our truths are always going to elevate in frequency, that we'll actually get to a place where, do I even have to clear anything in myself? Am I even existing in a program? Or am I so past that I'm just in co-creation or in creation? And so there's just this really beautiful place where, as we start to move through this ascension process, we don't have to get stuck in any one reality, because those realities are just a reflection of the level of consciousness or the frequency that we're holding, and that we always have a choice on if we want to continue to raise the platform of what that is. And what does that do? Well, it brings us even deeper into our own truth. That solid foundation of nothing can rock me, nothing. And I can have things bounce off of me all day long, but I am here to be who I am. And I'm so solid in who I am that nothing can shake that. And that includes being able to just see the programming and not identifying with it. Just what you said, like not going into the story of what is happening, but see what's there, choose the truth beyond it, and then move into that.
Yes, exactly. Yes, next and more. Because in a lot of times when we are looking at our reflection of where we currently are and we want to change it, you can change it. And yet somehow along the line, we were told we didn't have the power to do that. And so we're giving the power back to you because it's time. And you know that you have the power, you know that you have the strength, you know that you have the wisdom. It's just that you haven't been required to use it. And so we're teaching you and we're giving you skills and techniques to use it and step into it so that it's yours and only yours, because that's where we're moving into. Nothing exists outside of ourselves. We all need to go within, and it's time. And there's a lot of people that don't want to, and that's okay, because they're going to get to a point where they have no choice but to.
And yeah, and that's just it. It's like this work meets people where they are, and then and there'll be for some that it's not for them, and that's totally okay. We're just here to plant the seed for when you are ready, that it's here. There was something else that you were saying that just came through. Let me see if it'll come back. It's not coming. If it comes back, I'll share it. But yeah, I just totally went blank. That happens as well.
Well, this is really beautiful because we're talking about this foundation that we're creating, this foundation of higher consciousness within ourselves. And you can use this in every aspect. You take it to advanced levels with weight loss to really truly be in that frequency of the ideal weight, but also anti-aging, reverse aging, or anything. So can you talk a little bit about ways that people can use this in all areas?
Thank you for saying that, because you just brought back what was coming through. And that's going back to, Erica kind of said it before, that our skin is our biofeedback mechanism. And whether it's through weight loss or whether it's through anti-aging, we are able to see the reflection of the level of consciousness that our cells are actually holding, and actually see if, well, is this working? Am I truly in the frequency of being creator by what we're seeing in the mirror? And this is a practice. It's a practice. So we're using the biofeedback as the practice of actually moving into that state of consciousness. I like to say that the cells almost are like little reflectors. They're reflecting both out and in what level of consciousness we're holding. It's the barrier, or the one organ that we have that we can actually see, and it's also the one organ that protects what we feel like is inside of us. And as I'm saying this, it's like, let's just reverse that. Like, let's just reverse that. It's like basically showing us the way if we allow ourselves to see what is being shown. And I mean, isn't that what ascension is all about? We can't awaken to the next, what's next, if we're not looking at what's there for us to see.
Can you give an example of that? For example, let's take the old wrinkle. And what is revealed in that? It's different for each person, because this goes into the belief systems and the consciousness. So, talk a little bit about an example.
Do you want to do that, Erica?
Sure. So for instance, when we channel into energy and we connect heart to heart, and like, let's say there's like a worry line, if you will. And then if you can connect to it and it's reminding you of something, you actually want to breathe into it and actually hear it. Like, it will talk to you, it will tell you what is going on. And a lot of times people don't necessarily know what that is, but then when they're given the tool, and when they learn how to trace the energy, and that's what the DQ process does, is that it will connect you to the energy. Like, for instance, if we do it right in here and there's a worry, and maybe there's a worry about being able to provide, and you bring in, and if you don't provide, then maybe there's a fear of not being able to survive. And if there's not a fear of survival, then what? And so it's just asking you to trace the energy of what that actually is, with going deeper and giving you the tools in order to do it, so that you can actually get to the root cause of that belief system, even at an insertion age. And we don't have to necessarily worry about the story, but the actual belief system that's attached to it. And that's what the wrinkle will do. And so when you actually go in and you clear, cancel, delete, and remove that belief system, you would bring in the I am fully supported. I am divinely aligned. And when you do that, it's giving that cell it's giving it a reprogram to step into. And then it would take 21 to 45 days for it to take on that new identity, for you to work past the old belief system, because we just cleared it. And we bring in the 7 elements of the rainbow light, which people will learn about in that foundations course. And then you bring it in with the new identity, which we use I am statements because they're very powerful. And that's how you would reprogram it.
So let's just bring that into, okay, so you just did that. Whether you're doing it for yourself in the mirror, you're having a practitioner help you with it. So, but then the real work comes, because you just reprogrammed the mirror, the reflector, to I am fully supported. So the real work comes in, and this is when we really step into the creator and becoming the healer, is when we start to recognize that I'm going back into I'm not supported, or I'm a fear of survival. Oh, yes. But now I'm reprogrammed to reflect I am fully supported. What does that feel like? And so we basically reconnect to that frequency pattern in the cell, so that we can reflect that frequency into our reality through our personal choice, because we just created a platform for where we can stand on. And so when we're going back into the mirror and we're saying, oh, but the wrinkle's still there. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that our platform it's still holding the lower frequency pattern, but the frequency pattern is just there for us to continue to see until we don't see it anymore, because we have to reconnect to the higher frequency over and over and over again to teach our cell, remember, this is where we are now, until that is reflecting into our reality. And there will be a day, if we continue to focus and do the work, that we don't even remember what it was like to feel like we weren't supported. And we know that it happened, we knew that was a reality we lived in, but this is the ascension of mankind, you guys. Like, then we have created a reality where I'm fully supported, and that is being reflected through the biofeedback of our skin, because our cells have intelligence, they are conscious. And that is the first thing that we, quote unquote, you could say, outer reality, even though it's not really outside of ourselves, but it is the reflection that we can use in order to move into these higher state of consciousness. So it's not just about the skin, it's about actually taking the whole experience and bringing it into a place where we can actually see, are we doing the work? Is it working? Am I there yet? And if we're constantly asking, am I there? Well, then we're probably not there, because you'll step into that fully. And this is just the process that we can use and focus on in order to get there.
And I love you brought that up, because we do get a lot of people asking us, how soon do I see results? And a lot of the belief systems that we like to clear is the idea that in order to believe that it's working, there needs to be a result. You need to see it instantaneously. And we are a society, as a collective, that want instantaneous results. And we're teaching you how to be in the now, how to live in the moment, how to appreciate and have gratitude and blessings in the experience, not necessarily the journey or the pathway, but the experience of having your skin tell you what you need to work on, tell you what belief systems that you need to clear. And as Jules was just saying, when you do it and you do the work and you actually commit to stepping into that higher frequency, the result at that point no longer matters, because you are just being told the information. So again, it's not a judgment. It's not something that you say, oh, I'm not there yet, I still see that wrinkle. It's just information. That's why we call it biofeedback, is that it's not there to keep you down. It's there to encourage you to step into the higher frequency and to own that higher frequency.
Because once you own the higher frequency and your consciousness has actually reached the frequency of the I am, your reality does change. And there's no way that it doesn't. And why would you want to stop there? Well, it's like we keep going, and that's really the ascension into light form, is that we clear the cells so much of the lower density and the programming by being aware that it's there and choosing something different, until we actually get to a level where we clear the belief that we need to actually clear anything. And that's when we fully step into that nine, and we're just starting to create. And once we step into that place, is, well, that's when we start to move into the DNA of the 36, because it's already there. We just are so connected to that we're dense. But you can only imagine, the more we clear these lower programmings or these frequencies of reality that we're so identified in, and we start to move into fluidity and harmony and balance within our own inner system, that density falls away. And it's just not on a conscious level or what we're identifying with. But if we can hold that for a long enough period of time, all density fades away. And what does that look like? Well, that's what we're moving into. And so why limit ourselves to what this work can do? Because there's always a next.
There is always a next, right? Like we always say, we're limitless and expansive. And so why even try to put an outcome to it? Because then that would just limit it. And so we really want people to step into that frequency of what it's like to be density free. Because if you were actually to center within and find that peace and that balance, that is the power of you. That is that calmness and that stillness of you. And when everyone gets to experience it, and we all have, and we experience it a lot when we start to clear these belief systems and these programs, it feels amazing. And so why wouldn't we want to continue to do the work? And why wouldn't we want to continue to ascend to higher levels of frequency and commit to those higher levels of frequency?
That's such an interesting question, because I think that we would be shocked how all of us want to say yes, but then there's a part of us that scares us at the same time. And when I say that, I think it's something that everybody should sit in right now, and because it's really easy to say yes, and why are we saying yes to this? But it's a whole nother thing to look at, but what is keeping me from already being there? And that's what this class is about, is it's looking at the parts of ourselves that are keeping us from moving into that yes. Because it's one thing to say yes and actually do it. It's a
Mhm.
whole nother thing is saying, yes, somebody help me do it, or fix what's wrong with me so I can do it, or I'm just too afraid to do it. And starting to look at those things, because we can't move into what is next if we don't look at what's keeping us from getting there. And that's just, and it's not about that it's bad or anything. It's just looking at the truth of what maybe we're identifying in and deciding whether or not we want that to be our truth. And it's in that moment that we create choice around actually stepping into that yes, instead of just saying yes, but, because a yes, but isn't actually a yes. And we need to start looking at the buts.
Yes, we always like to say yes, next, and more. Yes, next, and more. But we also want you to ask yourself if things resonate with you. You know, there's a lot of things happening in the world right now that people are just adopting as their own, and it may not resonate. And so, like this process, when you have biofeedback, will actually ask you if this program or belief system would resonate with you. And I think that's the most important, is that people were just, the collective is so used to just being told what to do, they just do it. Their skin does it, their consciousness does it. And when you actually stop to look within, to be like, well, does this agree with me? Do I agree with this? That's where the power is. That's where we get to change. And that's when our reality shifts.
And it's not always an easy place, because as we continue to do this work, the reality of that we're experiencing on a deep inner level is not going to meet the reality of, you could say, the collective. It will shift. And that's where, like I was talking about at the very beginning, now more than ever, it's time for us to stand strong in the reality that we know is there and available to each and every one of us, and really holding that platform, so when those outer realities hit us, we don't shake, we don't lower in order to meet that reality. We stand strong, and in doing that, as a group of light workers, we are creating an entire different energy pattern for those people to actually move into. We're showing them, just by being who we are, that there is another way. And we're not forcing it on them. We're not telling them it's the only way. We're just being who we are. And that's enough. Like, that's all we have to do is stand on that platform, talk about inner harmony. It's recognizing when that harmony isn't there. Well, what did I just move into? Like, do I agree with that? Do I need to move into this lower frequency? Well, no. Okay, so I'm going to move back into the platform of the truth within me.
I just love that. That just is so exciting to me. Like that's where my passion lies within, is because when we step into our truth, we are light and we are energy, and we are constantly evolving and changing. And so what makes it exciting is that, yes, you don't get to know where you're going, but know that you're always elevating up. And everyone knows what it's like to be low. Everyone knows what it feels like to be dense. And yet our bodies are changing. What worked or felt 6 months ago is not working now. And people know this, and yet they're still trying to recreate that. And there's no reason to, like, you're getting connect to a false sense of security, right? There's an illusion that was being shattered for you, and it's getting shattered for a very specific reason. It's for you to go within and to find your power to just be. And a lot of times people are afraid to just be for their own power. It's okay to fail in a lot of ways, but people don't know what it's like to step into their power and own their power and not get rocked by their power. And what's wild is that that's what's the limitless expansiveness. And yet, for a lot of times, we were told to shut it down in the beginning because it wasn't time. Well, now it's time. Now you get to step into it and own it. And it's not that hard to reconnect to it. And your body's here to tell you how to reconnect to it. And your energy is ready to step into it. And that's where it gets exciting in this work. That's where the tools to get you into it is amazing, because it's like I said, you don't have to follow the story. You don't have to go into the emotion. You just get to use your cells and reprogram them into what you want to become, because now you're being called to step into who you are, the essence of your being, your core, and it's time, and it's happening, and it's ready, and we're doing it, and we're doing it together. And the more we do it, the collective will follow. So like, kudos to you if you're being drawn to watch this, and if this resonates with you, because you're here to pave the way, and that's why we want you in DQ.
Oh, that's beautiful. And the time is now. And the only way that we create a new reality is by seeing the reality that we're in and creating choice around that reality and then moving into the unknown space. And that is it, it's a process and it's a practice. And that's human evolution, really. Like, we're always moving into what is next. And so this is just a process of being able to do that, because if we're not in the practice of at least being the observer, we're never going to create choice in creating a new reality. And so that is the practice of, what am I observing? What is being shown to me? What is my skin telling me? And what's really cool about DQ is it's actually, we teach you how to trace your own frequency patterns. We teach you how to trace the belief systems that are there, so that you can actually move into the choice. And like I was saying before, really step into the I am, and or the higher frequency identity, until you can actually see that reflection in your daily life, not just in your skin, but in your life. Because when we're taking the biofeedback of what our skin is saying and we're reflecting that, well, is this working? Am I feeling supported? Am I in the frequency of that support? That's a very easy yes or no. Like, we're either feeling that or we're not feeling that. It's not hard to figure out, but it's that part of observing that and then creating choice in that observation. You could say the active observer, that then we get to step back and then just start to see it. Yes, this is who I am. I don't have to try to be this way. I don't have to even decide if I'm there or not. We just are. And that's when the cell or this level of consciousness becomes um, unconsciously conscious. We don't have to think about it anymore. We just are.
So let's talk about the class. Let's talk about what it entails.
Beautiful. So we start with the 7 elements. So and that's, we kind of have it started where the class starts November 11th is the first live. So between now and then, you have the opportunity to move through the 7 elements. And the 7 elements are absorbing the 7 levels of consciousness, which are tools that we call upon when we start to have those times where we're getting stuck in reaction, or we're getting stuck in the lower frequency patterns, where we're having trouble staying strong on our foundation of the truth of who we are. We call upon the 7 elements, or these states of consciousness, to actually help us move through that and then step back into the power of who we are. These are really powerful levels of consciousness, and it's only going to help you when you get to DQ, because what we were finding is, when somebody is trying to reprogram their cells, they're so identified with the story or the program itself that they were trying to clear their cell as the identity. Instead, so the 7 elements teaches us to move outside of the cell as the observer or the programmer, and is able to reprogram the cell as without being identified with the program itself. So that is what the 7 elements is about. So by the time you get into DQ and you're really ready to start reprogramming your life, you're able to do it as the programmer and not the identity of the program itself.
Which is what I love, because a lot of times when you go to a healer, all they're doing is alternating frequency. They're holding frequency for you to step into. And this is where you get to become your own healer. You will learn how to trace your own energy. You will learn how to identify your personal belief systems, your stories to clear. And that's the power of us in this moment. That's where we get to say, we're holding frequency for you to step into, for you to hold your own frequency. Because the more we hold our own frequency in higher levels, the more people around us will elevate as well. And so this is where it's exciting, is because instead of stepping outside of yourself and going to somebody, you're given the tools to do it from you within. And then once you be able to trace your own energy, believe it or not, you'll be able to trace energy of others around you that you love. And as you shift, they're shifting, because you're taking the lead, you're paving the way. So even if you're like, well, I'm just going to want to pave the way for my family, awesome. Learn how to trace your energy, because then as you're frequency elevates, your families will too. Like a lot of times people, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if when they start to elevate or ascend, they feel like they're going to leave the others behind. When just the opposite is happening. As we transcend, we bring everybody with us. We elevate together with us. We create a core unit together and we elevate up together. But it takes that one person to trace their own energy and to clear their own BS in order for them to pave the way for their people around them, their collective, their loves. And so everyone that's doing this, like we want to give you those tools so you can do it for yourself. And that's why it's so exciting, is because normally you would go to somebody for this, and that doesn't have to happen anymore. We are actually able to show you how to do it within yourself and for your people that you love and those around you.
Hmm. It really is like going back into just what level of consciousness are we existing in. This is a pathway to show you just that, and creating choices through what you're being shown, and really stepping into what it feels like to go from, there's the 5 levels of consciousness, and I won't go through all of them, but a lot of us get stuck in, we've passed the awakening and we're, oh yeah, we're the creator, we're the creator, we're the creator, and they're trying to make it happen. Like they're in the creator of trying to make, or trying even is a great word. Like if you're in trying and making, all we're going to do is like, we're just going to bring you to the next of truly being the co-creator, and then hopefully moving into the frequency of being creator. But it's being able to at least identify, what part of that am I in? And what is that showing me? Because if we're trying to make something happen, there's a really good chance that there's a frequency of resistance there. And it's a program that's keeping you there. And is all we're doing is we're showing you what that program is so that you can transcend past that altogether and really move up to this place where I don't have to make something happen. I'm just in this really beautiful frequency of divine flow. And when we can bring that into cellular consciousness is when magic starts to happen. And whether it's I want to lose weight or I want to look younger, all of those things, they do eventually kind of just fade away, because you kind of move into this level of consciousness where I'm actually the creator. And we just did this with DQ Body, where I did this thing where I ate 5,000 calories a day for 2 weeks. And I had the intention to expand my frequency into the food. And I wasn't actually taking anything in from outside myself. And I didn't gain a weight. I actually lost, I think, 2 pounds. Then I did it,
Wow.
and I did 500 calories a day for 2 weeks to see. And I stayed the exact same. So what that proved to me in that moment is that there is nothing that exists outside myself. But even more so is that my ability to hold a frequency pattern shifts the reality of what my experience is. And that is how powerful we are.
That is amazing. That is amazing. 5,000 calories a day would certainly pack on a few pounds. But see, that's the belief system right there. And that's what you elevated. And I love how you said clear the BS. Clear the BS, the belief system. So tell us about this class and more details of how people can work with it, how long it is, all those good stuff.
Beautiful. So it starts November 11th, and well, by the time you get into the lives, it's a 4-week course, and it's once a week for an hour and a half. And it's about 45 minutes to an hour of question and answer, because we find the best way to teach people is through their own questions. Then we're teaching to where you are and allowing you to shift into what is next beyond that question. And then we do about 45 minutes of live clearings to elevate the frequency, show what's there, and giving homework of how to actually bring that into their own practice. Am I missing anything, Erika?
Other than it's just a virtual course. And what's so cool about the virtual course is that we've had recordings of previous courses, because we've done a lot of DQ ones. And so that not only are you going to elevate with your particular class, but then you can look back at like old recordings and still get the benefits and the teachings from that as well. So it's just an ongoing library with ongoing recordings, and it is, you know, at your own pace. We do the once a week lives for 4 weeks for those for extra support and to learn and teach them how to trace the energy and have everyone experience what it feels like when somebody is getting an energy clearing or a face reading. Because in a lot of ways, when you see it and you experience it, we're collectively healing, like we're doing it together as a universal group. And a lot of times what we're noticing is the people that are coming in the classes right now are already elevated in consciousness from when we started our first group, because that's just where we are right now. We're in that quickening. We're in that, you know, expedited phase of remembering that we are light and energy and that we're stepping into it and we're reprogramming to it.
Beautiful. I can't think of anything that I would add to that. But it is a step-by-step process. So once you're in the classroom of the virtual course that she's talking about, it teaches you exactly how to do a DQ on yourself so that you're on your own learning how to trace your own energy. And then in the class, we of course do them on you so you can have that experience as well, and then answer questions if you come into, because it's a weird process of learning how to trace your own frequency. And for some of those it comes really easily, and for others it doesn't. And so that's why we actually have a step-by-step process that teaches you how to do it until you can do it on your own.
And it's like a practice makes perfect. Like a lot of times, if you're watching this, you may be a sensitive, you may be an empath. That's actually just energy reading. Whether it's yours or not yours, it's how you trace energy. So a lot of times people be like, well, I don't know how to trace energy. That I don't understand. This is why it's a step-by-step process, is because we are all capable of tracing energy because we are made up of energy. So we're just giving you the tools so that you become the expert of yourself in tracing your own energy.
Beautiful. Very well said.
And the tracing of the energy is really where things go quantum, because as we trace that energy back and you shift, as you guys have been explaining, that density that drops is so fast. In my personal experience using your system, I was able to trace back an experience, and so much happened in my mind in a meditation that I actually forgot the original energy that I was tracing. That's how it was so um, interwoven with so many belief systems. But in the end, it was such a deep clearing that that's the quantumness of it. Everything shifts. Yes?
Yes. And that's that inner balance, that harmony, and that inner wisdom that comes in, is because when you trace a belief system, there's a belief system on top of belief system and a program on top of a program, and you clear it all. And in that clearing is that release and density, that balance, that harmony, and that peace and power within, which is why we're asking everyone to step into that, is because that's how fast it can be. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out process. It just has to be a commitment to self to step into the power and get rid of what no longer serves and resonates you and your light body.
And then committing to that. What I love about what you just what you sharing your experience, Lauren, is that's really how quickly this can happen. But then also once we kind of clear away those, I don't want to say more third dimensional belief systems, but when we start to really go quantum with the work altogether, is really when we start to open up realities that we didn't even know were possible. And we start to step in even more of how powerful we are. And that's when the magic really starts to happen. And it can happen really quickly. And that's what I love about this, is that we don't have this ascension doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out process. We just have to choose what our experience of ascension is going to be, and then create a reality around that. Well, how do we do that? Well, we look at what is being shown to us. We ask if we agree with it, and then we move into what is next. And it really does happen that fast. And people may be like, well, I don't have that experience. Well, that experience is there for you, and that's what this whole class is about, is teaching you how to move past maybe those lower density programs that are keeping you stuck in the density, and then what you can do to actually move into what's next. And once you get into what's next, it's like, ah, wow, I mean, you just go there, and I love that you had that experience, so thank you for sharing that, Lauren.
And what a beautiful example of you guys in your own journey of clearing all this, going within and really clearing it and maintaining a high frequency. When we get there, the consciousness, the level of consciousness and the downloads, like you've explained, Jules, they just come and they come, and the insight is there. And that's why this is extremely important in this time. Let's talk about sovereignty. So, no matter what happens in our world, as we watch the old system crumble, we are inspired to bring forth the new systems. This is that inner wisdom that is free from the density of those belief systems, so it can truly come forth so brightly. So this is beautiful. What a beautiful course that you two have put together with those video trainings, the library of all the past recordings. Those are so helpful because each session is different and each person's experience is different. So that's wonderful that people can have those varying examples from all of those courses. I just want to say that that is available right here on this webpage. We thank you for this course. You guys have done so well. Your teachings are so popular with our community, and it really is empowered mastery, this level of consciousness. So I want to thank you both so much for that, and share any stories that you each may have about something really profound in your teachings with your clients.
Mm.
Oh, I'll share. A lot of times when we work with people and they start tracing their energy, what's amazing is that they said that they have been doing healing work for 20 years and they can button up in 10, 15 minutes. And that is power, is to sum it up that fast and to be able to trace your own energy that quickly and have been doing work for 20 years. That's the impact that I have seen in a lot of people that come to our class, is that it just sums it up for them and they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And instead of judging it, they get excited and inspired by it because they're like, oh yay, this is what I've been looking for, this is what I've been waiting for.
I think that one of the things that I think is so exciting is that leap from going, just like what you said, is there's something wrong with me, I need to go somewhere to fix myself, to I'm actually the one that is the empowerment piece. But I know, I could go into my personal, but just the people that, like, there's this one story that this is probably one of my favorites, is going into DQ, starting the DQ, and even using the Eternal Gold products with it. But she was going back to get her driver's I think this is on my testimonials because it's my favorite story ever. And so she goes back to get her driver's license, and her intention was to improve her eyesight and to look 10 years younger. So she went in to get her driver's license redone. She didn't have to use her glasses and passed the eye test 100%. And her picture, she looked 10 years younger than the pictures she had before. That's how powerful we are, and that was her passion. And so we all have these passions, like whether it's weight loss or whether it's looking younger or if it is the ascension, whatever it is, it's like, that's the passion that we put our focus on for that biofeedback. And then we get to watch it happen. And it's so exciting.
It's so exciting. And so we're excited for everyone to learn this technique. And this is a beautiful foundational course. And it's, again, as we've heard, it's really packed with a lot of great videos. These are two incredible teachers that are your guides in this process. And so we invite you to check that out and register, sign up for that. Take advantage of this beautiful opportunity at this time to do this incredible inner work, to go back and clear out the density of belief systems, the BS that literally hold us back, and create a reality that may not be exactly what we want. And so when we see this in our world today, we can see how powerful these techniques are. You two are wonderful guides. You've worked with thousands, tens of thousands of people, and this is only going to get bigger as you guys go along. So I thank you so much for this. Thank you. Thank you.
You, Lauren, and thank you for just holding a platform that is attracting people that are in a frequency that are truly ready for this. So I just want to honor you and see you in that space, and for everyone that's sitting in that space with you, because the world needs you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And for everyone watching, we hold space for you. We have light and love for everyone. So thank you for hanging out with us and listening to us. And we look forward to having you in class and giving the power back to you, because it's time. So there's just so much love and gratitude and blessings. And Jules, even for you for creating this process. It's so beautifully written. It's so beautifully easy to follow, and that step by step. And so in order to be able to teach it and to be able to give it to people, it's just amazing. So thank you both. And thank you everyone listening. Like I said, so much love for everyone.
Yes, we have so much love for everyone. And I want to reiterate what Jules said. This goes for everyone. The world needs you. Your love matters, and your self-love is the key to the whole elevation and the ascension. What a beautiful tool that we have available for us. And we thank these two beautiful beings for sharing with us in this Mastery Empowerment course. Thank you both so much. Namaste.